In opening a business, one needs to decide the legal form or legal structure that one would like to operate with. There are various considerations that one needs to make in deciding which legal form or legal institute one is choosing to run his business through. The most commonly used are those of a limited liability company, sole trader, or civil partnership. Nevertheless, there are more legal institutes that one could explore to run one's own business. The main considerations that one needs to make, particularly in deciding between limited liability company and sole trader or partnership, are various. The main one, however, revolves around the amount of debt financing that the business requires. So the main difference between a company and a partnership would be limited liability. Therefore, if one is taking a considerable amount of debt, it may be more advantageous to enter into the costs of running a company rather than exposing one's assets to those debt as well. As I said, there are other instruments that one may consider. One option is the cooperative societies, for example, whereby when more people are coming together to run a particular business and they want equal shareholding or equal participation, and that participation may change from time to time, in Malta there is this Cooperative Societies Act that allows people doing the same thing coming together and forming this legal instrument. There is also what is known as a trust fund. One here needs to decide whether he or she wants to operate the business directly, or else it can put the business within a trust and let the trustee manage the business on its behalf in accordance to what is known as the trust deed. In this context, when one uses such trust fund, it is important to understand that one is transferring the ownership, the legal ownership of that business to the trustee. And then if you want to be the beneficiary, then you can be the beneficiary of that trust fund. But it is important to understand that unless specified in the trust deed, one would have no say on the decisions made by the trustee. This type of mechanism is generally used by persons of a certain age who are already planning, for example, their inheritance. So they do not want, for example, to pass the business directly to their heirs, but they want to pass the benefits of the business to their heirs. An important consideration that one needs to make in the form as well is whether the business will have employees or not. When employees come into the picture, as consultants, we always recommend that one avoids operating such a business either through the sole trader or the civil partnership. Generally, the recommendation is that one operates through a limited liability company. As I said, this is the most commonly used. The other forms of legal instruments are used in specific circumstances. Therefore, in Malta, limited liability company is the most commonly used legal instrument to operate a business. It does come with costs, because a limited liability company needs to submit more paperwork, more returns, we call them, with the various authorities. For example, one needs to submit an annual return with the Malta Business Registry. One needs to engage into an audit of the annual financial statements of the company. One needs to file the VAT returns, just the same as the sole trader and the civil partnership, and as well as the tax return. So the involvement of this more paperwork will naturally bring over more persons that need to work in relation to the company. And therefore you need to appoint an auditor, you will need to appoint a company secretary, you will need to obviously appoint a director, which would then bring more costs. So yes, the company will have more costs, but the benefit of separating the assets and liabilities from one's own personal assets basically are more advantageous, and one would prefer paying these costs in order to protect one's assets. Obviously, as I said in the beginning, if the activity is a low one in terms of revenue and that, then it would not pay off to go for a company, but one would seek to go for sole trader or civil partnership.